Thank you. Roll call, please.
President Rutt,
Here.
Pro Tem Ford,
Here.
Councilmember Papachek,
Here.
Councilmember Comparoni,
Here.
Councilmember Lamb,
Here.
Councilmember Mosher.
Here.
You have a quorum. Councilmember Dandelides did request to be excused.
Move to excuse Councilmember Dandelides.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no presentations tonight, so item 5, call to the public. Each person wishing to address the village council shall be afforded an opportunity to do so. If you'd like to speak, stand, raise your hand, indicate you wish to speak, and when recognized, name and address, direct your comments to the chair. Note that your comments are limited to 4 minutes. Please.
Hello, I'm Matt Pfeiffer. I live at 497 Bellevue Avenue. And I just wanted to say we've had some great events here in the last few days in town, or the last few weeks, and I appreciate, I was able to see Teresa, Stan, Matt at some of the meeting, or at the events in town, and Teresa helping with the food truck, and I just want to say how much it means to me that you guys are involved and engaged in the events in the community. And we're 1 year out from an election that's going to really shake up this board potentially. And I would just, hopefully people watching, millions at home like that watch our meetings, are people who are, community minded, people who want to really be involved at every level to make a difference. And I appreciate all of your service, and thank you. And thanks for continuing to really be in it. I appreciate that. And I know the community does.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'll close call to the public. Item number 6, approval of the agenda by order of the president. No matters will be discussed after 9:30 p.m. unless the council votes to continue the meeting. Mr. Lamb.
Yes, I'd like to add an agenda item, a brief discussion with the village manager about the scope of the paving projects.
So is that a motion to approve the agenda with that item?
Yes, please.
And that would be under 10, that would be a 10D. So there's a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So we've added item 10D, scope of pavement projects. Consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are approved by one vote. We did just vote on that, right? I'm, time warp here a little bit. I'll read those out. Item 7A, approval of Village Council special meeting minutes of November 10, 2025. B, approval of Village Council regular meeting minutes, November 10, 2025. C, receive and file DDA regular meeting minutes, October 21, 2025. D, receive and file Downtown Development Authority special meeting minutes, November 11, 2025. E, receive and file invoice distribution report for November 24, 2025. F, extend term appointments for Ad Hoc Legal Services Review Committee. G, Metro Act Permit Application, Metro FiberNet LLC. H, DDA PA 57 Semi-Annual Informational Meeting. And I, schedule a special meeting, Lions Club Jubilee Special Event. Council.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
We have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10A, review draft ordinance amendments to Chapter 53 outdoor irrigation metering. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, in keeping with the direction that was provided by council to administration, we have prepared a preliminary draft of an ordinance that would allow for outdoor irrigation metering. Because there would be penalties involved for violation of the policy, it has to be done by ordinance, not simply by resolution. And what I'm looking for from council tonight is just council's feedback that administration is on the right track and is fulfilling the requests of the council and what your expectations were in preparing this policy. If the council has no concerns with the rough draft of the ordinance, we will proceed to put it in final form and present it back to the council for your introduction and first reading.
Council. Mr. Lamb?
The only question I had was one of the homeowners had inquired about the location of the meter at some situation where you couldn't put the auxiliary meter in a standard type. Does this have enough flexibility in the ordinance for like, to have a meter? Like, I think his problem was the primary meter couldn't be arranged with the secondary meter the way that it normally is. Does this allow flexibility for variations to like the meter location?
It does, and in those particular instances, the property owner would work with the Public Works Director
Okay, it's loose enough. Thank you very much.
to establish an appropriate location.
Do we have any idea, ballpark, a rough estimate of what this would cost a homeowner to install this meter?
The meter, I wish Wes was here to answer that question. He knows how much the meters cost. As far as the installation of the service lines, the separate service lines for the outdoor irrigation, that would be on a case-by-case basis, and there's no way that we could estimate that cost.
Okay, and is that the village would do, I think I read that the homeowner would be doing that?
The homeowner
Homeowner,
would be
okay.
responsible.
What's the motion?
It's page 76.
Okay, so direct the village manager to proceed with the village attorney's preparation of the outdoor irrigation metering ordinance in final form as soon as practical for consideration for introduction by the council.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any other council comments or questions? Mr. Ford?
Just, I guess just a comment, I think when it comes to the financial impact that was mentioned here, that there is no data of the resulting impact on sanitary sewer revenue due to deduction of outdoor water use. So not knowing that number, if enough people sign up, then somewhere that sewer revenue has to come from somewhere. And that would
Correct.
be,
It could impact the sewer rates as a result, depending on the amount of consumption for outdoor watering. And I think where that could potentially become significant is with the commercial properties, those that, because commercial properties would also be permitted to take part in this program as well. So depending on what the commercial irrigation is probably what would have some impact on the sewer rates.
and so by doing the recommended motion and continuing to direct you to follow through with this, without us really knowing, I don't mind following through with it and getting it out there, and we still have a chance to approve it or not approve it.
Correct.
And that would be one of my big questions is with the way water and sewer rates are, I don't really want to do anything that's going to add to that. But that's it for me.
Any public comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I might as well throw this in. So in the past, I've mentioned Darwin about cross-connection, legal connections to the sanitary sewer system. And the village community is old enough where I'm going to guarantee you there are a large number of sump pumps connected to the sanitary sewer, especially since we're in close proximity to the lake. So a lot of people have wet basements. And so pumping the water out into their yard, since we don't have rear yard drains in most instances, it's not convenient and it causes problems, and their sump pumps run all the time. So I know other communities have had a program of inspections to determine if the sump pumps are connected. So I would like to encourage you to come back to us with a program to look into that. And then I recall I did a preliminary water and sewer study, and our sewer use is twice the water use minimum. So the water we purchase And then the water we pay for into the sanitary sewer. The sanitary sewer water we pay for is double the amount of the water that we purchase. So this is called infiltration rate, and I briefly talked to the DPW director, and he mentioned he had talked to the county people, and they had an algorithm, and everything was, you know, and then their comment was, well, you do live by a lake. Well, we spent a lot of money on our sanitary sewers on tightening them up over the last years. So I would also like to have our village engineer address this issue. You know, we're not fully metered. They use an algorithm to determine the sewage rate going to the township sewers in, I think, 2 locations, and then the other 3 locations are meters. Don't quote me, but we do not have 100% metered outflows from the village. Some of them are estimated. I don't care for that. Nowadays, everything is a la carte and per unit. So the days of estimating, I think, should end, and the days of dumping into the sanitary sewer should end. And it's just more work for you, but I mean, if we're going to talk about sanitary sewer rates, we need to talk about what's going into the sanitary sewer. And so stormwater and infiltration in the sanitary sewers is the main violator. And I just disconnecting like 1 or 2 sump pumps that run constantly into the sanitary sewer at, you know, 5 gallons per minute times 365 days times 24 hours a day times 60 minutes is a huge volume. So I would like to bring that back to council, if council direct. So maybe in a future meeting, we can talk about that.
During the budget sessions, when we're talking about capital improvements, reviewing the sanitary sewer system again is something we should do. Back in 2016, when we had received the SAW grant, we did do televising of, I think, 2/3 of the sanitary sewer system, identified some of the illicit connections, but it's something we should be doing on a regular basis. Televising the system, identifying points of inflow and infiltration, or I&I, and trying to eliminate that as much as we can to reduce the costs that we have with COSDS for the treatment end of the sewer system. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
That's what I like to hear. Thank you, Darwin.
Great, thanks. We have a motion on the floor to direct the village manager to proceed to have the attorney prepare an outdoor irrigation metering ordinance as soon as practical for consideration. Any other comments or public comment? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, NODA alternate delegate appointment. Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, members of council, the Village of Lake Orion is a participating government in the North Oakland Transportation Authority, or NODA, which provides regional transportation services to Addison Township, Orion Township, Oxford Township, and the villages of Leonard, Oxford, and Lake Orion. Under the Intergovernmental Contracted Services Agreement with NODA, each participating government must appoint its governmental members to the NODA board and may also appoint alternate governmental members. Alternates are permitted to serve as voting members whenever the primary governmental member is absent or a vacancy exists in the office. NODA has requested that we make an appointment of an alternate so that we do have an alternate available when the primary member is not available. We provided council with a recommended motion in that regard.
Are you asking for 1 or 2 alternates? For this?
Just one
Just one?
alternate
Okay.
should be sufficient.
And what are the meeting dates for NODA again?
I believe it's the third, is it the third Thursday,
Oh, is it?
4:30?
I'm
I'm
looking
the-
again.
I'm the
Yeah,
chair-
I'm looking again.
I'm the primary person, and I could not be there last Thursday because I was in Washington DC for a convention. We did not have an alternate, and Michael McDonald, the chairperson, contacted me. I didn't realize we had not voted in an alternate, so we should do that.
Yeah, it is the third Thursday of each month
Okay.
at 4:30. And, you know, there's always times when the regular member
Yeah.
cannot be available, so it's always good to have the alternate. We try to do the same with the Board of Zoning Appeals, although it's been a struggle for us to get alternates for that board as well.
Would anybody enjoy serving as the alternate?
I like the way you put that.
What are you chuckling at?
Because I'm going to give you my name. That's what I'm
Okay.
laughing at. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at me. Sure, I'll do it.
God bless you, Stan.
It is early,
You
it's
need me
early.
to go on the BZA board? As the alternate?
I don't believe you're eligible to serve on the BZA board.
So I'm going to
It
move
has to be a
to
citizen.
appoint Stan Ford as the alternate governmental member to the North Oakland Transportation Authority Board to serve at the pleasure of the village council and to act as a voting member when currently Councilmember Mosher is absent or when a vacancy exists.
Support.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ford. Item 10C, DDA Executive Director Contract Amendment, Mr. McCleary.
Your Honor, members of council, the DDA board, through its executive committee, has conducted an annual review of the executive director. At its November 18th meeting, the DDA board considered a recommendation from the executive committee following the review process set by the board. The DDA has recommended that the executive director's term of compensation be adjusted to reflect a 5% wage increase over the current contracted amount and to extend the term of the contract through and including June 30th, 2027. The amendment, if approved, would be effective July 1, 2025.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to accept and approve the amendment to the executive director's contract as unanimously approved by the Board of Directors of the Lake Orion DDA, to approve the current budget amendment as approved and recommended by the DDA Board, and to authorize the village manager to execute the amendment to the DDA executive director's employment agreement on behalf of the village.
Support.
We have motion and support. Council comments or questions? Mr. Lamb.
Mr. Gibb, can I ask you a question? It's price, simple.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a perpetual, let's see, on each subsequent July 1st during the term of the employment agreement, so, and then it says annual adjustment shall continue until the agreement either expires on June 30th, 2027, so what's the purpose of the clause B when your employment agreement, so if your employment agreement terminates June 30th, 2027, don't you have to redo it anyway? And what's the perpetual 5%? Is it 1 year anyway, right? Or is this retroactive to this year?
Through the chair, so the board originally wanted to get into the business of bonus compensation. So in lieu of that, it was offered by my office, myself, to say, let's just set a 3-year contract. We've been in review since April, so let's make it effective at the beginning of our budget year and do 5% and then just have it recurring for the next 2 years. So
Okay,
that,
so this current year and then next year?
yeah, next year, basically, that's
Okay.
it. So, and if it's worded inarticulately, then you can blame the attorney on that.
Well, no, I really appreciate the fact that you have a limited term agreement. You know, it's, when you have unlimited term agreements, can create issues, but it's great. You have an employment agreement, it terminates in 27, they can renew it, you can redo you don't have to struggle.
I think it forces the question at that time that everybody has to
Yes.
come to the table and
Yeah.
justify what we're doing. So, yeah, I would agree. Thank you,
So-
Mr. Lamb.
Great.
Any other questions or comments? Any public questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10D, scope of pavement projects. Mr. Lamb.
Previously, it had been explained to us that the payments would be, in the village would be repaired on some kind of basis into the future on an ongoing, little bit at a time. So I had some discussion, was contacted by Mr. Stevens, of course, is one, and some of the other neighbors. And apparently in the past, the entire village was redone at the same time with a large special assessment allocated to a front footage. I have a triple lot, so my front footage is great. So it doesn't matter to me, I'm gonna pay a lot. But I think the size of the portions of the paving project currently are too small. I think that we need to enlarge the scope of the paving project to include either entire neighborhoods or, of course, the entire village in order that we can get the price reduction from having a large amount of asphalt work being done as opposed to this street this year, this street next year, and the price will go up, 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 up. I know that there are enough streets that need done now for a much larger project than what's currently proposed. Now, I'm not faulting the village manager because he, decided to use the pay 5-year-old phaser study and then just start with some of the more extreme. But I think we should. The streets have gotten much worse since the phaser study. I think we should take a look at it. I think it's a minimum that our neighborhood, where the first phase, they should do the entire neighborhood, of which I'm going to be a major payer, which is fine. I'm not, looking, but it just happens to be you're starting in our neighborhood. So I would like the cost benefit of having a much bigger project. And then, so the motion I would like to make was I'd like to direct the village manager to increase the size of the project to at least be neighborhood-wide, to limit the inconvenience to the homeowners in the neighborhood to like a single season. Because if they were to pave the first section of North Shore and then pave the next section, it's just going to create a nightmare for people like Mr. Papacek, who lives right at one of the main intersections, so he would be having trucks for 2-3 years going. So I would like to have at least minimum increase the scope to neighborhood-wide, and then, if possible, come back to the village council with an opinion as to the feasibility of doing the village-wide paving that they had done previously under, I believe, Van Tassel and other members.
So we have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Other council questions, comments?
Just
Ford.
for clarification, so you want to direct the village manager to come back with information on broadening that paving project?
At a minimum, I'd like him to take the North Shore, Flint Street, Church Street neighborhood and create that one project in that instead of having a multi-year project there. The cost of the residents would be more beneficial. And then I would like him to look at considering doing the entire village in 1 year. Our village is very small, and so it seems like a large project to us compared to a project, a road paving in the township. It's nothing. So the contractors could handle it, and I think we would get a better price for the citizens. That's my impetus, is to get a bigger price. And I've been receiving emails. Mr. Stevens went into a long litany as he started, and then I spoke to some of the other neighbors, and they liked the idea of getting it over with instead of just dragging them through years of paving. So,
Mr. Papacek?
Yeah, I think I see what you're saying. It would be great to see the scenarios, especially if it is with our limited resources, a little more cost effective. I don't know, to do fewer projects, bigger in scope, than a bunch of small projects that could just, not only be perpetual construction kind of, or elongating the project length, but maybe it helps save a few bucks too along the way. So I don't know if that would be part of the comparison, but it'd be nice to see, if there's that additional benefit there too.
I think what I heard from the motion is to direct him just to broaden phase one, just flat out broaden it.
yes.
I think I would prefer to get the data back from the manager first before I rubber stamp, just broadening it. I understand there are mobilization costs and everything that we could potentially save, and I understand disruption in neighborhood. But I don't have the CIP in front of me and where some of that money was coming from. I know some was Major Street, there was some grant funding, so I just kind of want to see that concretely and the impact of that if we broaden that first phase, if we go a whole village before I concretely. I understand what you're saying, and totally open to doing that, but I want to see all the numbers before I just say, yes, let's definitively widen that scope. Again, it makes a lot of sense on a number of metrics, but I want to see the numbers and where that money is coming from for the broadening of that project, because we have some that I think our village manager is working on for this phase one of, we have this figured out, how we're paying for this between the assessments and some grant funding and things like that. But, so I want to see how we're working that first.
Well, that's why I put the motion, we'd like to broaden it to our neighborhood, which is reasonable. We live on one of the longest dead-end streets besides the one right across from us. And so these perpetual projects are just, the people are tired of the construction. And that wouldn't affect, so our neighborhood wouldn't affect the cost. The monies are already allocated into that project. It would just mean people like myself who live on the section that's not currently scheduled will have to pay. And they're willing to pay to not suffer through this. So I can speak for 5 residents that live on my street that want to pay now for that. That's why I suggested that I'd like to ask, so we have 3 council people that live in that section. So I'd like to suggest, that's the way the motion said, just to increase our neighborhood to a single project and then have the manager come back for the rest of the community. The funds allocated for the phase 1 are already done. They're already there. The manager previously stated that he could probably expand the scope of the project simply. Okay, he just hadn't been directed to. So he was following his own protocol at that point. So the expansion into the North Shore neighborhood wouldn't affect the funding at this time. Isn't that correct, Darwin?
Could you define neighborhood? Is it just to the end of North Shore?
No, the North Shore and the church, and the Flint's already on that project, and then the secondary streets in between. It would be west of M24, everything west of M24 from the marina to the cemetery, just that section. You know, it's kind of like each.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
We have
what you
like
mean by
boroughs,
neighborhood.
throughout the community that are like that, like the different streets and sections, like the islands. So,
Could you speak to that, Mr.
Sure.
McClure?
We definitely need to analyze this because, as you know, our current policy is that we use Act 51 funds to pay for 50% of the cost of major streets and 25% of the cost of local streets, 10% of the cost of dead-end streets. And so we have limited Act 51 funds. So we would have to have discussion as to how we would reallocate any costs that we could not cover through our Act 51 funds. But I'm happy to look into it and provide whatever information we can.
Thank you. Ms. Mosher?
I think the biggest thing, not just because I live on North Shore, but it's the piecemeal fixing that has been done over the last many years, at least 10. It's patching, and then the patching comes out, then there's more patching, and the patching comes out, and the road is disintegrating. And I think by doing part of it up to a certain point, you're still going to have the other part of the road that's disintegrating, it's going to be there. So, and that would impact, I don't know, but I'm assuming would impact where it butts up against the new pavement if it's old pavement. So to me, it makes sense to not piecemeal it, but to do an entire section. And the people they understand, they want the roads paved, they understand they'll be assessed. It's just a really bad situation, especially when the snowplows come through, because the pieces of road are thrown onto the grass, and it's falling apart. And I'm sure that we're not the only street that the same things are happening. But I do think it's important to look at the entire project rather than trying to piecemeal it and get it done and then move on to the next project. Just because it doesn't make sense to me to do it that way. I think it just should all be done at once.
Mr. Camperoni?
Yeah, I think we should do the whole thing also, but I'd like to do everything first. I don't want to pave the whole thing, then rip it up and put water lines in, you know? Because these are projects down the road, new water lines, the sewers and what have you. I'd like to, I don't know if that was your reasoning on doing it in phases or not, to pave this one and do the sewers on this section of town or what, but I would like it all done all at the same time, but we still have to consider what's coming up in the future under that stuff, so, but I'm all for checking into it.
Mr. Ford?
And I don't think anybody's against doing it all at once necessarily, but I would like to know the financial impact of it before I go along with the current motion the way it's stated.
Yeah, you know me, I give great thought to these things. So the sewer and water projects have been completed in our neighborhood. And, you know, they've destroyed the streets and the patches. That's why we'd like to have our whole neighborhood done. So that's why the motion was to increase the scope. So, you know, I don't want to be at odds with the council since, you know, I'm one of the people that's going to be paying the special assessment. I know that, and I'm willing to submit to having the village manager come back with looking at the village-wide proposal. But I'm going to point out two things. So the North Shore neighborhood, the sewer and water projects are complete. The funds available, so we're going to get some more funds every year. We get, how much do we get per year, Darwin, for the local streets?
About $101,000 from
Right.
Act 51.
Right, so $101,000 doesn't go very far. It really doesn't go very far. And so waiting another year to have portions of our street paved as the 5% increases in the costs are going up, material costs and things like that. So, yeah, that's why I'm here, is to ask, we want our neighborhood done all at the same time. I've had numerous neighbors come and say, we want this done. So we aren't looking for the village manager to tell us that we want our neighborhood done. We want our neighborhood done. So I'm speaking for more than myself. I didn't bring any petitions in, I don't need to. But the rest of the community, I hear you. And Alex, that's a wonderful comment about, because yeah, we do have to tear up a bunch of streets yet on the islands and things like that. And on the east side of town, there's a tremendous number of streets. That's why I've petitioned the motion to allow for our neighborhood. Now, also, we're going to have these special assessment hearings so the citizens can come in. You know, so this isn't, we're not, you know, burdening someone, but I want the village manager to have direction to engage in this activity because he's planning on engaging the engineers to do the design and build. This is the time to do it. And so delaying doesn't help my neighborhood. And I don't think we're going to burden us with any additional costs, or we're not going to get any extra money because next year those funds that aren't allocated this year are going to go to the next project. So I like to leave my motion be because I feel like if it fails, I'd like, you know, we can make another motion. Okay, but I'd like to get that off the table. So.
I think for my second comment, I don't deny the benefits of doing a project all at once. I just can't, it's fiscally irresponsible for me to expand the scope of a project when I don't have the numbers for what that would cost. And it will increase the cost because of some of the streets that we have to pay 50% for. So it does increase the cost, and I can't vote yes on a project that I don't have the numbers for. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we have a motion to expand Phase 1 to include the North Shore neighborhood west of M24 and to direct the village manager to bring back a proposal for the entire village. Is that accurate?
You know, I don't want to be at odds with you on this, okay? So hopefully you understand what I'm asking, okay? And I would like you to give it full consideration. So if you're not certain, then I'll withdraw the motion. And if someone's willing to withdraw their support, I can amend the motion then.
Would you be willing?
Yeah, what would you amend it to?
Basically, the same proposition, but instead of just doing it for the North Shore portion, I'd like to direct the village manager to present to us the impact of doing the entire neighborhood at once, and then the potential impact of trying to do a community-wide. Because I think the time, to dragging it out 5 years is gonna cost people a lot more than the $100,000 a year we get from coming in. That's the point. It's hard to
Yeah.
just, so I'll withdraw. That's what I'll change the motion to come back with two. Would that
Yes.
satisfy you?
Yes.
Okay,
And I'll support that motion.
thank you.
So we have a motion to direct the village manager to bring back the information or proposal for the cost for expanding Phase 1 to include the North Shore neighborhood as well as a village-wide paving project. Accurate? All right.
Close enough.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 11, call to the public, same as the first section of our agenda item, of our agenda. Any call to the public? Seeing none, I'll close call to the public. Item 12, DDA Executive Director comments. Mr. Gibb.
Good evening, Matthew Gibb, DDA Director at 118 North Broadway. Thanks again for this opportunity on your agenda. I'm actually really liking it so that we can share some information. I would point out that our awesome fire chief, who's here, brought fobs for the fire station bathroom, which you think, well, that's not a big deal, except we removed the porta potty on the end of this week, well, not this week, so Monday of next week. So we have a new cleaning contract that the DDA has secured. We were paying about $500 a month. We're going to pay about $500 a month again. It took a little wrangling to get that done, but we've got a cleaning contract. So the fire station bathroom will reopen next week. It has been the #1 source of calls to the DDA, is how come the bathroom's closed? But we're going to get that rectified. As has been said in public comment earlier, the events have been pretty good. The Sing and Stroll was very, very well attended, and thanks to all those that participated, but mostly thanks to the DPW. We've got an aging electrical system from the streetscape from 2010, and they've been somehow able to keep that alive. There's only one plug that doesn't work, and we all know Wes isn't here, but it's been great working with them going forward. As it regards to your previous action, I concur with Mr. Lamb. I think it's a great opportunity. You approved special minutes for us tonight. That special meeting was us trying to beat some major anticipated cost increases for concrete and asphalt. So we are trying to get the balance of the footings and the foundational work in the public market barn done this fall, because we're being told upwards of 18% or so in the spring if we were to wait. So if the village manager needs any help or elbow grease with that, we're more than happy to provide that going forward. So the DDA is not only scheduled your informational meeting, and I call it yours now because I'm inviting all of you. So we worked with the village manager to choose 6 p.m. before your next meeting in December for our informational meeting. If you're not familiar with what that is, Public Act 57 requires all DDAs in Michigan to have 2 informational meetings. Most DDAs hold those towards the end of the calendar year because you're able to get all the tax information, all of the audits are usually done, those types of things. And so ours are always scheduled towards the end of the year. Our initial informational meeting will be held at 6 p.m. before the December 8th. You approved that tonight on your agenda. The secondary meeting, where we submit public notice to all of the taxing jurisdictions, will be before our regular meeting on December 16th. And so if you're not able to make it at 6 p.m. on the 8th, please try to come on the 16th. The informational meeting goes through all of our contracts for the year, what we achieved, what we didn't achieve, all of the things that are required to report to the state. We are preparing our Public Act 57 report to the Treasury Office. It's something your awesome clerk and I love doing together at the end of the year. The numbers always seem to be so easy to make match. That report deals with all of our capture revenues for the year. Mr. McClary and I, over the next probably 30 days or so, we're going to confirm the capital improvement plan payment. If those that were on the subcommittee remember, We said we'll estimate it for budgetary purposes. It's pretty close probably. He and I will just confirm the accuracy of that, make sure that we transfer this year's contribution into the capital improvement 75-25 fund. So I'll wrap up my comments with, I did provide pretty extensive memo. I drafted it. You'll have to take the credibility of 32 years of being a lawyer that does this kind of work. It's, in my opinion, really accurate to what the DDA's position would be regarding how we can utilize TIF-generated revenue into our capital improvement fund that we all cooperatively created. The 75-25 has really broad powers for us to do things like water and sewer and public infrastructure. I set forth in the memo pretty clearly that it's in the discretion and the opinion of the board. The law really calls that out. And so if there's a project in question that deals with public infrastructure, that deals with core things like water and sewer, I know that's come up on several meetings, our meetings and your meetings, the opinion of the DDA board, the opinion of its director, we will get concurring opinions. I know that the village doesn't like to just toss money at a village attorney. We're more than happy to get concurring legal opinions through the DDA to absorb that cost, to confirm what we believe is our number one goal, is to work with this council and the best way to allocate those capital improvement dollars going forward. So we wanted to make it clear. That's where we're at. Sorry if it's a long memo. If you got insomnia, read it at 11 o'clock. It'll put you right to sleep. If you do want to dive into that more, our office is really close to here. I see Stan run by it every Friday. And so always please just stop in. I'm more than happy to sit down and talk through the legalities and the ramifications of all of that. Thank you for the consideration for myself and my position tonight. That's high gratitude. Last thing would be the lumberyard. We were able to set up the escrow accounts to get access in a real substantive way with the village engineers regarding stormwater on the site. That's been the big bugaboo of the hangup of being able to do final engineering and site plan. Through some of their input and really, quite frankly, through a very collaborative discussion with the village engineer, the village planner, our engineer at PEA, and myself, we've gotten a fairly good direction now as to how we're going to use best management practices to make this a very green project, the use of above-ground cisterns, bioswales and rain gardens, the way that we would grade this, the use of permeable surfaces, all of those things are going to go into it. So we are pretty close to being in a collaborative mode with no approvals, of course. We've got to get to it. Now, we did also meet with MDOT. This has been a pursuing thing with me and MDOT. MDOT is now very much amenable to the idea of us getting, I won't give you all the numbers and acronyms, but a permit to utilize the percolation basin that sits immediately north of us. That is a big thing for MDOT to do. We have to prove that our pre-project and our post-project flows of water on the site, that we're still managing that. Our engineer and your engineer think that that's really possible now that we're really diving into it. So what does that mean? Our long-awaited 90-plus, 100-plus day delay in the site plan is not moving very quickly. We're working with Mario, your planner. Our goal is to be for eligibility and preliminary site plan. We won't make December just because of the holiday timing of schedule of meetings, but we will be in January with the idea it would be in front of this council for PUD eligibility shortly thereafter, and then pursuing a final PUD plan through February. We are timing our asphalt and hard surface to meet the fire department's needs for hard surfacing for their apparatus so that we can kick off our groundwork in April. Or as soon as the frost laws break. So our timing is to present a really good plan to you on Lumberyard. I can confirm that I've been working with Sonia, we have wrapped up what we've called phase one of the project. Phase one of the project has always been clean it, make sure that it's environmentally safe with what we're planning to do, and to restructure the 4 structures out there into those public uses that everybody has asked for. So we're 95+% done with all of that. You're going to see a cement truck there tomorrow. It's the last of the cement pour. We're taking advantage of, we have one more day that's in the 40s before it goes down to high of 32 for about 3 weeks. Sorry, winter is here. So you're going to see that. I'm planning on locking the main fence that sits behind Leo's just for safety purposes over the winter. Our need for that parking area that we've used for cornhole and other events and overflow parking really diminishes in the winter. We'll have it open temporarily with proper maintenance for things like the Ice Fest, things like that, but you'll see it close. That's our sign that we have achieved phase one on the lumberyard project, and now we are fully waiting because we've got to push dirt and do things on site that require us to have site plan and the planning commission and all of you involved. So the DDA is doing pretty good. Budget-wise, we've got to get some adjustments done, but we're doing pretty good this year. And that's our report. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gibb. Item number 13, council comments. Ms. Mosher.
Well, there aren't many people here, but those of you that are, thank you for coming. And I had a great time in DC and lots of food and lots of classes, and it was fun, but I'm a little tired because it's go, go, go. Other than that, happy Thanksgiving, and thank you, Mr. Gibb, on your update. Appreciate it. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Pepchek.
Yeah, someone once told me the greatest and most valuable asset we have in the village is Lake Orion, the lake itself, right? We've got a lot of great things with the downtown and the trails and everything else, but the lake is very, very important to all of us, I think. I was a little dismayed to hear and see, I had a couple neighbors saying that leaves are being blown and raked into the lake. I know it was something that was mentioned in the newsletter, you know, there are penalties for doing that, so I hope we all take care of our lake. You know, there's issues with phosphorus and I think depriving the lake of some of the oxygen and things like that. So I hope we all, you know, for people that are near it, to make sure we take appropriate care of our leaves and either get them to the curbs, get them in the bags. I think we've all been doing a pretty good share of that the last couple of weeks or so, but want to make sure we all recognize the importance of trying to keep that out of our water. I did, as I was walking around today, exciting stuff. I don't know if it's officially moved, but this morning I saw beams being put under the Queen Anne Colonial at the west end of Atwater. So I think that was some exciting activity going on there. And then the demolition of the marina, right? A lot of changes around town, which I think we all kind of knew were coming. And, you know, people say the only constant is change, right? So we're getting used to it and seeing what the new phases look like. The other constant, the Lions play on Thanksgiving, right? So I think we'll all enjoy that and have a good time with friends and family. So happy Thanksgiving in a few days to everybody.
Thank you. Mr. Lamb.
Oh, yeah, so I thank Mr. Pfeiffer and Jack, is that Jack back there? Coming to the meeting tonight. It's always nice to see somebody here. And I got my Christmas lights up. We had enough warm weather. I thought I'd take advantage of that. I only blew 3 leaves into the lake because I can't get on the shore with my leaf blower to blow them all back up to the road, you know, so I'm doing my best. But you're right, my neighbor across the way, several years I watched them blow. You know, I didn't know you could, the DPW director said that's illegal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but, so I recommend people not do that. Other than that, you know, like I said, the community's moving along. The development projects are doing well. And the marina, I was gonna ask Darwin real quick, did they just get a demo permit? Because they don't have a site plan yet.
They don't need a site plan.
I know, but
Demo
so they're just demoing the site, they're just cleaning the site up, right?
Yep.
Okay, that's great, that's great. So other than that, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And we're planning on a happy San. Our youngest son has a girlfriend now.
I didn't know that.
I know, it's a surprise.
Why did you do that here?
To give you cuz I may have grandchildren someday. I'm so jealous of you guys. You have grandchildren. So. With that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Mr. Comparoni.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I'd like to thank the chief for showing up. It's always a pleasure to see you. And like I said, I went to the show you had down there. That was pretty neat. I was impressed. Really clean fire station, all the tools. The tools have come so far since the jaws of life. Although it was a long time ago. And thank you for keeping your staff up. I don't have a heck of a lot to say today, so happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Yeah, had a Paint Creek Trail meeting, and one of the topics that came up, Moseri came through and went over their development at Jacobson's, because they need to have access and permission to drill underneath the Paint Creek Trail to get access to water and sewer. So they've provided the trail with a map and stuff, and the trail's going through the process, though there are some concerns on the trail side. But I'm sure they'll work something out. 140,000 trail users at the Tinkin Road crossing, and with increased use, there's concern about electric bikes and skateboards, and that came up also in the Oakland County Mounted Patrol report. They had 421 contacts with Paint Creek Trail users, 7 citizen assists for minor injuries, multiple complaints on e-bike users and motorcycles, motor scooters, et cetera, regarding speed and safety. The Paint Creek Trail is budgeted for 425 hours of patrol on the trail, but due to staffing issues, Oakland County could only patrol it about 107 hours. People do like to see them out there. It is a cost that they are willing to incur, but it does make enforcement somewhat spotty sometimes. And then there's always an issues about trail etiquette, because that's the main thing, educating the public as to the safety of the trail, and then working to ensure that natural beauty and historic relevance. I did attend the DDA Sing and Stroll and tree lighting, and as usual, it's very nice. The Santa Claus that's there, I had to say hi to, I call him my big brother. And so had a nice chat with him. And then looking forward to the Shop Small November 29th, and the horse and carriage rides, and the lighted Christmas parade December 6th. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. I also attended the Sing and Stroll, and it was well attended. We did not have a freezing, terrible night, so that was great. And the tree looks beautiful. The selfie station in the gazebo was really cool. Hot cocoa, the s'mores, so thanks to the Boy Scouts for coming out and manning the s'more station, and all the volunteers who came down to help. It was a great night for everyone, and the art center with all the ornaments, and yeah, great event. The holiday lights look great downtown. Along with that lighted Christmas parade, they are still looking for volunteers. So there was a change up in the volunteer coordinator not that long ago, and they still need volunteers to assist, to walk with the costume characters in the parade, to carry signs, volunteers to help with the quiet zones, viewing support, the drop-off and lineup. So if you would like to volunteer for the lighted Christmas parade on December 6th, please contact them, orionparadegroup.com. I'm sure there's some contact information there. Or reach out to me and I'll put you in contact with a volunteer coordinator. Just as a note, in our consent agenda, we did approve 2 special meetings, or the info sessions. So Mr. Gibb highlighted December 8th at 5:30, not 6 o'clock, on Monday. So Monday, December 8th, that's the info meeting with the DDA. And Monday, January 12th at 5:30 p.m., there's a meeting, a special meeting for the Jubilee discussion, the Lions Club Jubilee. So just wanted to put those out on the radar, that those were approved in the consent agenda. So if you have questions about the Jubilee, or if you want to attend the info session as well, you are more than welcome to. With that, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Drive safe. It's going to get cold. It's going to be pretty windy, I saw, on Thanksgiving Day. So be careful as you are traveling about visiting family. So stay safe, eat lots of good pumpkin pie and turkey, and have a happy Thanksgiving. With that, village manager comments. Mr. McCray.
Thank you, Your Honor. I wanted to start out by just clarifying one thing that was said earlier about Orion Marine. I do believe that Starboard did get site plan approval in November 2023. So,
Are you sure? I thought they had a 4-story building they proposed and that didn't get approved.
no,
Yeah?
no, I believe the whole Starboard project was approved on November 6th of 2023.
Was it?
So I just wanted to clarify that so that it wasn't hanging
I'm
out
not,
there.
I'd love to see the approval. I don't remember approving it.
Your Honor, council has received the manager's report for tonight. I provided you with an update on the administrative assistant recruitment process. The work that's been done so far with the Legal Services Review Ad Hoc Committee and what we will be working on at our next meeting next Monday. The quiet title action for the park property at West Elizabeth and North Lapeer Streets. The court did quiet title to that property and assigned ownership of that property to the village. Although for many decades we thought we owned it as already, so. North Shore drainage problem update. We did receive notice from one of the 2 property owners we were seeking easements from for storm drainage improvements that they are not interested in granting an easement to the village for that project. So that makes it very problematic to do the drainage improvements. We're waiting to hear from the other property owner. Eastport Village development, which is on the southern boundary of the village and extends into the township. I provided you with an update on our discussions with the township on an interlocal agreement for that development. We have reached acceptable terms tentatively, subject to council and township board approval. And I provided you with a brief synopsis of how that development will work. I also provided council with several important dates coming up for your information. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. We do have closed session item tonight for the AFSCME and POAM collective bargaining strategy session. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn to move to closed session.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have support, I'll support.
Your Honor?
Yeah,
Due to the small crowd, I would like to ask that we stay in chambers and ask the people to move. It's awfully crowded in that small room, and I would rather sit here and talk.
I would defer to the village manager to see if we can do that.
Well, we do have video running, and this is a closed session for collective bargaining. I would prefer that we go
Okay.
into I know it's cramped quarters, but I would prefer we go into the conference room.
Oh, you had
Thank
a button there you pushed to turn the,
They're still filming.
Yeah.
They're still
Yeah.
filming downstairs, and I don't know how, this is just for audio. I don't have a way of turning off the video.
okay, well, maybe we should investigate that too, you know?
So roll call, please.
Yes. Councilmember Mosher?
What am I?
This is to go into closed session.
Yes.
Councilmember Camperoni?
Yes?
President Rudd?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
No.
Pro Tem Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Papachek?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll move to closed session.